Welcome na Māori. Welcome to Pasifika Wire. In this episode we talk to Karen Orsborn, CEO of the Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission. Karen talks to us about her new role and the work the Commission will undertake to help transform the mental health and wellbeing system. She talks about her goals and aspirations and the Commission's role and objective to contribute to better and equitable mental health and wellbeing outcomes for people in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
I'm Karen Orsborn and I'm the recently appointed Chief Executive of the new Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this podcast and to talk with you and your listeners about the Commission. And we know that mental health and wellbeing is a really important issue for all people in New Zealand and also for Pacific communities, in particular our youth and young people. And we really share the hopes and aspirations for future generations in terms of how we can make a contribution to making things different and better for our future generations.
And to you, Ms. Orsborn, we congratulate you on your appointment. And if I understand correctly, you took on the role at the beginning of this month, so you've hit the ground running, but you've also been part of this whole journey of the Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission. Can you talk to us about its function, please?
Yes, look, I'd be delighted to. And I came to this role from working at the Health Quality and Safety Commission. So I started with the initial Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission at the beginning of 2020. And that initial commission was set up to start the work of the permanent commission while the legislation was being processed through Parliament.
Right.
So I led the secretariat for that initial commission, and we assessed progress with the government's response to Aotearoa. And we also did some work to develop a monitoring and outcomes framework. So I then picked up the acting role from February and, as you said, just started permanently this month. So the Commission's been set up to have oversight of the mental health and wellbeing system, and it was seen as the missing piece of the puzzle in the Aotearoa report. So Aotearoa talked about there being strong system oversight and an agency that really kept the pressure on the system and also governments to actually do better and for the system to perform better. So we monitor mental health and addiction services, and we also look at some of those wider factors such as housing, education, employment that really have a big contribution to people's wellbeing. So what the Commission does is we have quite a strong monitoring and reporting role. So we look at services and we also look at those broader factors and develop sort of insights and reports and a view on how well those things are working and what needs to be different to improve. We also have a really clear role about advocating for the collective interests of groups. And these are people with lived experience in their whānau, with Māori, with Pacific people, rainbow communities, and those communities that carry the biggest and the heaviest burden of distress. I would say that the Commission has particular obligations and responsibilities with regard to Te Tiriti o Waitangi. So we really need to focus on how we can, as a Crown agency, fulfil those obligations and really be an agency that's grounded in Te Tiriti o Waitangi and focus on equity. So, that's a really strong focus for us.
It really is quite transformational, isn't it? Because we really are changing the way we look at mental health and wellbeing in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Yes, look, absolutely. And part of our role is to support the transformation of the mental health and addiction system and also the broader wellbeing factors. And that was what people called for, and that was reflected in her Aotearoa. So it was a treasure for this country as it brought together those really important voices and painted a vision for the future that was quite aspirational for people. So we have a role to support that transformation and work with with other agencies, to work with communities, to work with providers, a wide range of people towards that new vision. And our aim, our aspiration is that as a result of our work, people will be getting the support that they need when they need it, the system will work better and people will have greater trust and confidence in the system.
And speaking of that, are we getting better about talking about mental health and wellbeing out there in the community, also in media? Are we getting there?
Look, I certainly think that we are getting there. I think both the inquiry, what led to the inquiry, but also what's happened through COVID-19 all through 2020. People are talking much more openly about mental health and wellbeing. And I think people are also thinking about what they can do to contribute to improving that mental health and wellbeing, what we can do for ourselves, what we can do for our immediate whānau or families, in our workplaces and communities. So people have really stepped up and thought, well, what can I do? And it's those small actions that can actually have quite a big collective impact. So, yeah, I think we are getting much better at talking more openly.
For you, coming into this role and the wealth of experience that you bring with it, what do you hope to achieve in this role?
Well, as Chief Executive, I certainly want to support the Commission and lead the Commission to fulfil its role and mandate and really make a difference for people. And first and foremost, as I said earlier, we have made a commitment to Te Tiriti o Waitangi and to improving services and wellbeing for Māori, and that has to be a priority. We're also really strongly giving priority to engaging widely with those communities, like Pacific people, and looking at how we can advocate for those collective interests and highlight what can be done differently to other government agencies, but also into that broader system. So we really are working towards a system where people can get the support they need when they need it. So for me, my hopes and aspirations and intent is very much the Commission being able to fulfil its role and mandate and really make that difference for people.
For someone like me, the general public, what do we need to know and understand when it comes to mental health and wellbeing?
Well, I think it's good for everybody to understand what some of the issues are, and I think that was really brought to the fore both through the inquiry process but also through COVID. So what are some of those issues? I think it's also really important to understand that changes to the system are underway and it will take time and there's a lot to do. And there's no doubt that COVID has had an impact on all of us.
Yep.
It's important to know that the government did accept in some form almost all of the recommendations from the inquiry and did make a significant investment. And so the money is flowing into the system, but it's also a 4 to 5 year program, so it's going to take time for that money to be seen and the impact to be seen consistently across the country. So, yeah, I think it's important for people to understand that changes are happening, but it will also take some time. And that can be hard for people when they're faced with an immediate need sort of here and now. So we certainly acknowledge that. We also know there's some really fantastic initiatives in communities, and we highlighted some of those in the initial Commission report earlier this year. So we looked at some of the really great models of care, services that are provided. Examples are like the Cause Collective Do Good Feel Good movement in South Auckland and Lavar's Flow Pacifica for Life program. So we highlighted those models, and so communities are stepping up and putting services and supports in place. So I think it's good to know that communities and people are responding to what they see as their local needs. And that really speaks to that we can all take actions every day, however small it might be, to support people and communities. And as I said earlier, joined up, these small changes can have quite a significant impact.
Thanks for listening. That was Karen Orsborn, the CEO of the Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission. Visit our website at www.pacificawire.com. We welcome you to like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to the full podcast with Karen on Spotify. Whaafatai, maia manuia.